Today, we're going to talk about one of the most important and kind of hidden journeys in our world. It's the path data takes from being this raw, messy, chaotic noise into a clear, valuable insight that can, well, literally change everything. We're going to see how this works, from fighting cancer all the way to predicting the stock market. So let's dive in. Okay, so what do cancer genomes, satellite images, and Wall Street have in common? I know, it sounds like the beginning of a really weird joke, right? But the answer is actually the whole point of our story today. They are all places where finding one tiny hidden connection inside an absolute ocean of data can make all the difference in the world. All right, first up, the Data Deluge. To really get how insights are created, you first have to have a sense of the just unbelievable scale of the raw material we're all working with now. I want you to just think about this number for a second. 300 billion. That's how many web pages are sitting in just one public data set called the Common Crawl. It is a massive snapshot of the internet just sitting there waiting for someone to analyze it. And remember, that's just one data set out of thousands. It's wild. And you know, the sheer variety of this data is maybe even more incredible than the scale. We're talking public platforms that host everything from the detailed genetic maps of over 11,000 cancer patients to global maps of the Earth's surface and even the seismic echoes from earthquakes. All of this raw info is just out there, a whole universe of potential discoveries. So that leads to the big question, right? It's one thing to have all this data, but honestly, mountains and mountains of disorganized information, they're basically useless. It's just static. How in the world do you find the actual melody that's hidden inside all of that noise? Which brings us to the real magic trick of the 21st century, the process of turning all that random noise into a clear, powerful signal. You know, this phrase really nails a huge shift that's happened. For decades, the big problem was just, where do we store all this stuff? But now that storage is cheap, the real game has changed. The most valuable work isn't being done by people who collect data anymore, but by the people who can find the meaning hidden inside it. So, to see this process in action, let's go to a place where a single insight can be worth billions of dollars. I'm talking about the world of professional finance. This is the ultimate high-stakes data game. In the investment world, there's a special name for this golden nugget of insight. They call it a differentiated idea. It's a pretty simple concept, really. It just means you understand something about a company or a trend that nobody else has figured out yet. It's the key to winning, to generating what they call alpha. And let me tell you, the hunt for these ideas is a massive business. Just look at a company like Verity. They have over 300 investment firms as clients, and those firms together manage a mind-boggling $10 trillion. And why do they all use this platform? It's simple, to find those differentiated ideas before the competition does. So how do they actually pull this off? Well, you can think of it like a refinery, but for data instead of oil. First, they suck in these huge volumes of raw, messy public data. Then, they use this powerful mix of AI and human experts to analyze it all. What they're looking for are these subtle little clues they call insider signals. The whole point is to produce a clean, actionable insight that a portfolio manager can actually use to make a decision.
And these are the raw materials they're refining. We're not just talking about stock prices. No. They are digging through thousands of pages of super dense legal filings. They're tracking reports to see what executives are doing with their own money. And they're even analyzing transcripts from podcasts and news articles. All of it just to find that one little edge.
Okay, so that's how firms hunt for a very specific insight about one single company. But what if you want to zoom out? What if you want to read the mood of the entire market at once? Well, that brings us to something called sentiment analysis. This is often done with a really cool tool called the put-call ratio. It's widely seen as one of the best indicators of market sentiment we have. And the way it works is by taking two totally different kinds of bets that investors are making and just comparing how many people are making each one. So here's the key thing to understand. A put option is basically a bet that a stock's price is going to go down. A call option is the exact opposite. It's a bet that the price is going to go up. So if you see a ton of people buying puts, it suggests a negative or bearish feeling in the market. If you see lots of calls being bought, that signals a positive or bullish mood. Simple as that. So by simply looking at the ratio of puts to calls, this one single number manages to distill millions of individual decisions, all their hopes and all their fears into one powerful snapshot. It gives you a direct read on whether the market as a whole is feeling more fearful or more greedy. It's a perfect example of turning massive, messy data into one simple, clear signal. So we've seen how this all works in finance, but this whole inside economy thing is so much bigger than just Wall Street. Let's pull the camera back now and see how this very same process is being used to distill our entire world. I love this tagline from Verity because it really just says it all. Outperformance starts here. That is the end goal of this entire data to insight pipeline. Whether you're in finance, medicine, or any other field, the goal is to get an edge, to make a better decision, to make a faster discovery, to make a more accurate prediction. And this right here is the main takeaway. That financial refinery we talked about, it's just one example. This exact same process is happening absolutely everywhere. Scientists are sifting through that genomic data, looking for the signals that could lead to a new cancer treatment. Climatologists are analyzing satellite images to predict where our climate is headed. The tools are different, the data is different, but the mission is exactly the same: turn noise into signal. And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about, doesn't it? In a world where AI and algorithms are getting unbelievably good at finding hidden patterns and pulling out insights, what role is left for us? What does human expertise, or a gut feeling, or just plain old intuition, what does that even look like in the age of the insight machine?